Tuesday, everybody. Hope you're having a good day today. At the time of recording this, it's still Sunday for me. Uh, Typically, I don't record this early in advance, but I am stuck working every day this week due to someone being out who is sick. Well, not sick, got overheated, dehydrated. She wasn't drinking enough water or Gatorade or anything like that, and she just got too hot and got exhausted. So she's taken the week off per the doctor's orders. She's an older person. She's, in her early 40s. So obviously, it's not as easy on a person of that age to work in the heat like we do as it would be for the 24-year-old that I have working there. So, um, I'm going to be exhausted, but I will still get out the rest of the episodes this week. I don't care how late I have to stay up to record them. It does not matter. They will get recorded. So, this time I wanted to talk about something that's always fascinated me. I don't know a whole lot about it. There's one time I did kind of a deep dive into something that's associated with it, but that was years and years ago. And I mean, the thing is, with things like this, subjects like this, you could just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And while I would love to do that eventually, for the sake of this episode, we are only just going to barely scratch the surface of what I want to talk about today. But first, as always, we're going to do our daily promise. And I feel like this is important to do it today because we're going to get into some dark stuff. It says, "For the iniquity of his covetousness was I wroth, and smote him. I hid me, and was wroth, and he went on frowardly in the way of his heart. I have seen his ways, and will heal him. I will lead him also, and restore comforts unto him and to his mourners." Isaiah 57, verses 17 and 18. "Though the whole of mankind stands corrupted and damnable before the majesty of the Lord God Almighty, even so he promises to choose out for himself a special people. Ever will he heal his dear children. In spite of their hearts of malice and stone, the Lord will be faithful to renew them and cause them to become the bearers of life eternal. Praise God that we who believe have received such mercy as this." I want to back up to the sentence that I just read about he promises to choose out for himself a special people. I don't like the way that's necessarily worded because it makes it sound like God picks and chooses who can be saved, and that's not the case because anybody can. Um, Now, there is a difference between wanting to get saved because you know about that, and or maybe you were taught that, or maybe somebody told you about it one time. Um, but there is a time when everybody's time comes, and it comes at different times for everybody. And when at the time that God feels like you're ready to accept the truth and make a decision of whether or not you're going to move forward and get saved and choose to believe it, then that's when you start getting these feelings of you start asking questions, and I guess you could call it your conscience. It starts nagging at you, and sometimes people said that, they couldn't sleep. They had like insomnia because they were afraid to go to sleep because they thought they'd die in their sleep, and they have these feelings, and that's supposed to be the Holy Spirit telling you, hey, this is time. This is the time you need to choose, and you need to make this decision now. Some people get two, three, four chances, and they can turn God down constantly and get chance after chance after chance. Some people don't get that many chances, but I think the reason is because even though God doesn't predestinate, he did not go like, okay, you're saved, you're going to be saved, you're going to be saved, you're not, oh, you will be. Predestination isn't real, but because he is an all-knowing God, he does know whether or not you're going to get saved. Now, he's not choosing that you're going to or not, but he knows if you are going to choose. He already knows that. So I think people get that a little bit confused with predestination. Like, well, if he already knows, then you're predestined. No, he's not picking it for you. You get to choose. He just knows what you're going to choose because he's all knowing. Anyway, moving on from that, because I don't want to get into that and confuse anybody. I just wanted to clarify that sentence because I didn't like the way it was written. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Bohemian Grove. Um, if I could find which one I wanted to start with, guess we'll just start. Um, let's just start here because I don't know what this is. I didn't look at it up at first. So this is obviously that we have a video here. It's the Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. This is by Alex Jones, and I know a lot of y'all are gonna, if you know who he is, you're gonna be like, oh, he's such a conspiracy theorist. Why would you believe anything he says? Because he said a lot of things that he was kicked off the internet for saying, and it turns out that that stuff was actually true. And here we are not listening to him still, even though he's been right about a lot of stuff. Yeah, he may be a little out there on some things. I know some people who are a little out there on their conspiracies. And while I love a good conspiracy, like I said, I know when one is credible and when it's way too outlandish. But Alex Jones has been right on quite a bit of stuff. So this was written back in 2000. It says, since 1873, the global elite has held secret meetings in the ancient redwood forest of Northern California. Known members of the so-called Bohemian Club include former presidents Nixon, Eisenhower, Reagan, and Bush. The Bush family maintains a strong involvement. Each year at Bohemian Grove, world leaders don red, black, and silver cloaks and conduct an occult ritual wherein they worship a giant stone owl. During the ceremony, a human being is sacrificed in effigy to the owl god idol. So obviously it's not a real human, but it's a mock sacrifice. Now, for the first time in history, an outsider has infiltrated Bohemian Grove with a video camera and caught the ritual on tape. Oh my gosh. Okay. Years and years and years ago, when I was still in high school, and I was a freshman in high school is when I started looking into this, might have been a sophomore. And I remember seeing this video because I was digging deeper into Freemasonry because my papa was a Freemason and he was very tight-lipped about it and he refused to talk about it. And my ex-husband one time wanted to join, and I told him I would divorce him if he joined. So um, he didn't, obviously. I told him, I was like, and you have to pay money and we can't even afford it. So it's a waste of time. He didn't join. However, I saw this video and oh my gosh, had I known at that time that I was watching an Alex Jones filming something, I didn't even know who Alex Jones was at the time. But wow, circle back around. That's so weird. That's so weird. Okay, so Alex Jones is the one who caught this footage secretly. It says the ritual is just one part of the terrifying exclusive video in his latest documentary, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. I think that's fireworks, like pyrotechnics. And there's the large owl back there, right here. Oh, that made it worse. It's so hard to see. This, I think, would be at the time they're doing the mock sacrifice.
Released from beneath little.
Yeah, this is where they're doing the mock sacrifice right
These people are
here.
deadly serious. Those taking part in the ceremony.
It's creepy. Let's be honest. Even if maybe they're not really doing anything, it's very creepy. All right, I'm gonna just stop that there. It's hard to see. I mean, if you want to go watch it, go watch it. I think I've seen this whole thing before. It's still creepy, honestly. So some people have reviewed this. Um, a lot of people don't like him. So I don't know. I mean, you go check it out. The video it's worth watching if you're interested in it. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just a small little portion that you can see. So this here exposing Satanism.org. Now I'm telling you, a lot of the Freemasonry and the Freemasons, Bohemian Grove, Skulls and Bones, a lot of them do seem quite satanic. They really do, okay? This article here was written in January of 2017, John Watkins. And he says it's a place where elite perverts gather and engage in homosexual activity and other forms of debauchery. So apparently they re-infiltrated back in 2006 Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson. Um, So it said that since the summer of 2000, Alex Jones's Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove documentary has been the only record of a successful infiltration into the 133-year-old elite encampment until now. New footage obtained from a Bohemian Grove employee offers us further insight into the infrastructure of the compound and the mindset of its attendees. Our source, known anonymously as Kyle, was able to access sensitive areas of the grove and record footage using a concealed pin camera. What he documented only adds further weight and credibility to previous claims that Bohemian Grove is perhaps the ultimate backroom in which world and domestic policy is agreed upon in the bizarre environment of drunken frivolity, homosexual prostitution, and satanic deity worship. Kyle worked at Bohemian Grove in the summer of 2004 and 2005. He was able to physically confirm what the Bohemian Grove's own annuals he had told us for decades, that the elite of the elite attend the camp. Our source personally saw several high-profile members of the U.S. aristocracy, including New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, the famous newsman Walker Cronkite, and countless other luminaries. The most elite encampment within the grove is Mandalay. Our source told us that that other members of the grove were not even allowed to approach within 100 yards of this compound. Swarming with Secret Service, private valets, and cooks in the compartmentalized system of the New World Order, Mandalay is an elite within an elite, the very top of the pyramid's capstone. Over the past few years, the Bohemian Grove establishment has relaxed the rules a little pertaining to women. Beforehand, they weren't allowed on the compound at all. Now they are permitted to be kitchen hands or valets in rare cases. The Freemasons are the same way. They have their own group for the women, the Eastern Stars. Very bizarre. And you're not allowed to share any of what goes on. Now, I don't know if the women can share what goes on in their little group with their husbands or their boyfriends or their fathers, but the men are told they're not supposed to share their secrets. Kyle recalled that it was a constant irritant to be approached by old men and propositioned for sexual favors and asked if he slept around and wanted to have some fun. In 2004, we highlighted a New York Post article which discussed the attendance of gay porn star Chad Savage at Bohemian Grove. According to the Post, he was there to attend to every need of the so-called Christian conservative majority that makes up the attendee list. In October 1999, hundreds of hours of Oval Office taped conversations from the Nixon era were declassified. In one discussion, Nixon tells his advisors, "But it's not just the ratty part of town. The upper class in San Francisco is that way. The Bohemian Grove, which I attend from time to time, it is the most faggy, gosh dang thing you could ever imagine with that San Francisco crowd. I can't shake hands with anybody from San Francisco." According to Kyle, during one of the festival's revelries known as Gypsy Jazz, the audience paused to thank the author of the music, calling him a wonderful jazz artist, but then booed in disapproval at the mention of the fact he liked to spend a lot of time with women. According to Kyle, amidst this incongruous atmosphere of indulgence, the very cogs of the New World Order turn and policy with global implications is set in stone. Bohemian Grove annuals brag of how the Manhattan Project was conceived at the Grove inside a building known as the Chalet. Our source was able to procure footage of this odd little building. So, if you don't know, the Manhattan Project had to do with injecting plutonium into citizens to see the effects of it, and not just plutonium, but I think just radiation in general. And they killed quite a few people and damaged many as well. I talk about that a little bit in both episodes of the secrets our government tried to hide. The Strategic Defense Initiative Star Wars was also the brainchild of Grove members and was born inside the chalet. So if you don't know about that, about the Star Wars, you can look that up on YouTube. I'm not even going to go into it because I didn't understand half of what I was listening to when I listened. At the height of the Cold War, top Soviet dignitaries traveled to the Bohemian Grove for secret meetings with heads of the U.S. government and corporate leaders. The membership list obtained by Kyle for the 2005 ritual reads like a who's who's of the U.S. elite. Former Presidents Jimmy Carter and George H.W. Bush, current President George W. Bush, Henry Kissinger, and George Shultz were amongst the attendees. A sign denoting the entrance to the hillbilly encampment where the Bushes stay shows a happy dancing devil with a forked tail, not the kind of insignia you would expect a so called born again Christian to want to associate with himself. And let me tell you, um, the more I look into George W. Bush, the less and less I ever believe he was a true Christian, and he's just a rhino, honestly. The day after the cremation of care ritual, in which a mock human sacrifice is made to Molech, the owl deity, Kyle was able to sneak his hidden camera inside the belly of the beast, inside the owl, to give us a glimpse of how the ceremony is performed. There are four different effigies that are used in the ceremony. The footage from inside the owl shows one of the effigies propped up against the wall. The effigy has been burned and its metal skeleton remains. It is clearly an effigy of a human body. Also inside the owl, we see what appear to be electrical generators, wires, stereo systems, public address systems, and amplifiers stacked on top of each other. We can confirm that the owl itself has a metal structure with a stone facing. Our source informs us that the final effigy that is burned is made of a highly flammable material, and that the local Monte Rio Fire Department oversees this portion of the ritual. This would explain why, during a 2003 visit to the surrounding area of the grove, Alex Jones and his film crew experienced some decidedly unfriendly locals who worked for the Monte Rio Fire Department. When asked politely about the Bohemian Grove, the individuals became aggressive and asked that the video camera be shut off. They had obviously been told by the Grove establishment not to talk about Bohemian Grove. Our social lives, going to the football game or the PTA, are somewhat different to the leisure pursuits of the world's elite. If you are aware of the fact that your neighbor made mock human sacrifices to Molech, a Canaanite deity, would you let them walk your dog, sit your house? Would you let them babysit your children? What Yet the global elite that attend the Grove have their fingers on the nuclear launch codes. Is it not therefore in the interest of the American people and the wider world that the veil of secrecy which shadows the activities inside Bohemian Grove be brought to light and exposed for what it is, the edifice for a satanic conspiracy that seeks to dominate and enslave mankind? The Bohemian Grove is an offshoot of Skull and Bones. New exclusive photos. Infowars.com. So I'm looking at some photos here. If you're a blind viewer, go check out my video so you can see them. Let's see, Sheldon, I don't know who that is. Victor Himes, cremation of care, it looks like it said. That's the one of the mock sacrifices. Richard Nixon and Art Linkletter. Here, Walter Cronkite orchestra concert. We have Jack Kemp, Jim Stockdale, Jerry Cole, and Jimmy Carter. Conservatives and liberals frolicking together at the occult compound. Jack Kemp on the far. Okay, I just did that. This is Helmut Schmidt. Um, German Chancellor Helmut Schmidt addresses the elite of the world at a lakeside talk. Schmidt, in his own autobiography, Men and Powers, a political retrospective, says that he is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderberg Group. Okay. He also says that he has been an active participant in bringing in world government. Mr. Schmidt also said in his book that leaders from globalist bodies travel to the Grove every summer. He talks about secret groves in Germany where they do Druidic rituals, but indicates that Bohemian Grove is his favorite place to participate in these rituals. And here, this is a book for the Annals of the Bohemian Club. It was published as the 125th anniversary of the founding, and the oversight of the Annals Committee, Jack M. Betard, I don't know, Peter B. Bedford, Jerry C. Colt, Andrew G. Jameson, James Earl Jewell, Paul J. Karlstrom, Gary E. Kurtz, H. Leonard Richardson, and Kevin Starr. Okay, so a lot of creepy stuff, right? There's so much more. I have another one here from 12160.info forum. Says the dark secrets of Freemasonry, Satanism, and the Rothschilds, which I also believe the Rockefellers are also involved. Um, one of these days, we're gonna do a deep dive on the Rothschilds and Rockefellers because they're a little creepy on as well. Um, Freemasonry has always seemed an outward semblance of loyalty towards the Bible and exhibits a vague notion of God, but is actually based on subtle lies and deception typical of religious cults everywhere. Freemasonry is founded upon a Kabbalistic uh, pantheism or the deification and worship of the potential supremacy of man rather than simply in God himself. Masonic symbols secretly stand for things other than what they appear to be, such as sexual indulgence of every sort, clearly sanctioned by the command, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. That's almost kind of like what's it for the satanic church. I don't know. Or it's the same thing. I don't know. Freemasonry is at the forefront of the One World movement with a moral standard identical to Talmudic Judaism since they originate from the same ungodly source. Masonry is a Jewish institution whose history, degrees, symbols, passwords, and explanation are Jewish from beginning to end. This is quoted from Gregor Short's Boschnik, 1928, The Secret Powers Behind Revolution. Okay. So Freemasonry in its Jewish guise is the controlling power of the governments of both Great Britain and the United States. The reference book, 10,000 Famous Freemasons, lists two prominent Rothschilds, including James Mayer Rothschild, son of the dynasty's founder, and Mayer Amschel Rothschild. James is listed as a 33-degree adept of the French Supreme Council. Nathan, the second son of Mayer, is also listed. It was Mayer Rothschild, the founder of the dynasty, who once was quoted as exclaiming, "Give me the right to issue a nation's money, and then I do not care who makes its laws." Of course. In 1822, the Magen David was adopted by the Ashkenazim Khazar, self-styled Jew, Mayor Amschel Bauer, who hung a red hexagram on his door to identify his address amongst other things. Upon becoming a supplier of coinage to the royal court, he changed his name to Roth, Rothschild, meaning red shield, and it was used on the Rothschild coat of arms when they were raised to the nobility by the Austrian emperor. Biographer Frederick Morton, in his classic The Rothschilds, tells us that Mayer Rothschild and his 5 sons were wizards of finance and fiendish calculators who were motivated by a demonic drive to succeed in their secret undertakings. All 5 brothers were imbued with the same spirit of cunning and conquest. Morton describes how the Rothschild formed no true friendships and how their associates were but mere acquaintances who were used to further the interest of the House of Rothschild, and then thrown on the garbage heap of history when they had served their purpose or outlived their usefulness. I don't want to read all of this. Um, let's see. The Rothschilds' money power, which reached the point of complete world control by 1885, together with its London policy group, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, are the policymakers for what has essentially been a secret government in the United States since 1900. This ruling occupational government functions primarily through the Council on Foreign Relations, but only as a subsidiary of RIIA and through the Rockefeller Foundation, which controls all government functions, the educational establishments, the media, all religions, and the state legislatures. And so it was that the educational uh, and so it was that in 1913, when Paul Warburg, another Rothschild darling, engineered the institution of the Federal Reserve System. This was by no means an American invention or an isolated event. To the contrary, it was the next logical step of integrating a global banking system that had been evolving since the 17th century. Then, as now, speed, efficiency, and easy access to limitless funds were qualities highly prized by all governments, with appropriate favors ever sanctioned accordingly. There's no evidence that the Rothschilds' predominant standing in European or world finance has changed. To the contrary, as their wealth has increased, they have simply raised their passions for anonymity. Today, their vast holdings rarely bear their name, for obvious reasons. The scriptures at the occult core of Freemasonry, originally found in the ancient Jewish Kabbalah, are now expressed via Talmudic Jewry, the religious doctrine of the ancient Pharisees. The late Freemasons, Foster Bailey, a man who devoted his life to the plan of Lucifer, writes, "The recognition of Masonry as a spiritual quest resulting in a spiritual way of life will hasten the more brilliant shining forth of the great light from all our temples. The great light to Foster Bailey can be none other than the light bearer himself, Lucifer. Is it possible that Masonic temples of the synagogue of Satan are to serve as the centers of worship in the coming new age? Who knows?" So we already know what the Bohemian Grove is. We know who some of the members were. An article in a local community newspaper, the Santa Rosa Sun, reported on the cult of Canaan and the legend of Molech in place at Bohemian Grove. The Molech pagan cult of sacrifice is human sacrifice. About the mid 1980s, there were rumors of murders in remote parts of the property. A local police investigation went nowhere. State investigators on related criminal acts went nowhere. An observer and near victim has described the Bohemian Grove inner hideaways, the closed sanctum, even the decor at secret locations, places where no outsider goes, or servants, according to our sources. Apparently, there is an underground lounge, sign spelled like underground, like the UN, a dark room, a leather room, and a necrophilia room. Also, he reported, slaves of advancing age or with failed programming were sacrificially murdered at random in the wooded grounds of Bohemian Grove, and I felt it was only a matter of time until it would be me. This potential victim survived. Others reportedly did not. These cults were based on human sacrifice. Why would a 20th century resort reproduce occult ceremonies? At the minimum, it demonstrates an attraction to the ceremonial practices of the occult, i.e., adoration of destruction, blood, and the barbarity of the sacrifice of children. In brief, the charges are consistent with the tenets of Bohemian Grove as played out in ceremony. This is not a resort devoted to, for example, tennis or swimming. It is apparently devoted to blood sacrifices. There is video footage covertly shot by radio talk show host Alex Jones. Um, their Luciferian ceremonies, and it was around 200 yards from the owl that he was able to do that. So, another article that I want to get to, yeah, I don't want to get too far into this one because we're going to do a second part because I'm not going to be able to finish this all. But on some of my other ones that I've done, I did this last Saturday, I think it was, from jesusissavior.com, and he puts these articles together, and he's got sources where you can just click on it and it just can go off in all different directions. So I'm going to save that for the second part on Thursday. But I think I want to look at one more and just kind of see. If you can see this picture, this is the owl here. I'm telling you, if you're a blind viewer, you got to go check out the video, or at least go look up the pictures. But I mean, this is creepy, okay? You got to admit it's creepy. It's like, why do they do it? They do mock hangings. Um, okay, so let's read this part. It says it is clear that the owl, the Bohemian Grove's rendered god of Molech, is hidden in the upper right-hand corner of every $1 bill, just right of the T. Now, I don't know that to be true. I mean, I see what they're showing on the $1 bill, but I don't know if that's what that is because there's conspiracy theories about the pyramid and the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill and how it's connected to the Illuminati, and there really is nothing to suggest that that's true. What it does suggest is that something was created and there was symbolism behind it, which was good, and then people always try to take symbolism and twist it to be bad or evil or wicked and things like that, like the peace sign or the okay sign, I mean. Now all of a sudden the okay sign is racist when it never was racist. Um, so that's why I don't like to take too much stock in to those types of things because anybody can make a picture or a symbol fit what they want it to fit. Anybody can do that. So I would have to look into um, when Bohemian Grove was started and Skulls and Bones because if it doesn't go back to the time that the dollar bill, like this particular dollar bill was designed, then it makes no sense. So, this we're just not gonna look at that one because it's really not that interesting. But Tex Mars, um, I don't know who he is, but clearly he's a religious man. He did a look at Bohemian Grove, the cult of conspiracy. Um, So his friend Michael Hansen, who is a photojournalist and researcher, has authored a groundbreaking book exposing the conspiracy of Bohemian Grove. I am pleased to have written the foreword. Um, I first learned about Bohemian Grove in 1988 by a former CIA officer, retired from that agency and privy to many of its deepest secrets. He was intent on exposing the sinister plans of elite conspirators. He asked what I knew about a secretive group of powerful men that meets in the redwood groves near Santa Rosa, California, each year in July. Absolutely nothing, I responded. He then went on to tell me strange and incredible things about the Bohemian Grovesters, things that seemed to be both bizarre and almost impossible. I say almost because just the year before, an insider, a graduate of Yale University, had provided me detailed information about yet another secretive group, the Order of Skull and Bones, headquartered in New Haven, Connecticut. Most bonesmen, as they are called, are graduates of the most elite Ivy League Yale University. For a year, each actually resided in a building called the Tomb, where they participated in satanic Masonic rituals, including one in which the newly initiated candidate lay nude in a coffin as a demonic pagan ritual was conducted in a dark, foreboding sanctuary. The Order of Skull and Bones, I discovered, included some of America's most well known and most powerful men, among them three generations of the Bush dynasty: Prescott, Sheldon Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, and George W. Bush. There were also bonesmen who became U.S. senators, top corporate CEOs, bank presidents, university chancellors, and other such famous persons on the Skull and Bones membership rolls. I think John Kerry was one of those. Having investigated the weird but very real Skull and Bones organization, you might say that I was more ready to believe that similar groups also existed. The CIA operative assured me that the Bohemian Grove was one such occult secret society, and so I energetically sallied forth to find out more about the crazy antics and improbable behavior of the world's most auspicious leaders. Leaders who have been meeting in the mysterious forest some 50 miles from San Francisco since the year 1872. What I dug up during my probing investigation of the Bohemians greatly disturbed me. It still does. In 1991, I recorded a lengthy audio tape summarizing my findings, which I entitled The Wicked Men of the Bohemian Grove. Imagine, if you will, hundreds of men, the presidents of the U.S., perhaps a few guest prime ministers, premiers, or chancellors from foreign countries, an assortment of oil company titans, Hollywood actors, the heads of corporate giants like IBM, Bechtel, Halliburton, Bank of America, the Secretaries of State and Defense, the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, and the list goes on. Cavorting about casually and sparsely clothed, urinating on trees and alongside walking and hiking trails, and incredibly behaving uh, in an ungentlemanly, sordid sexual manner. These men drink tons of alcohol, lounge about, attend special talks, and schmooze with each other for some 2 weeks. Insiders report that homosexual link-ups are commonplace, and thus lust-filled, depraved participants exhibit little or no shame in coupling in plain sight. Then President Richard M. Nixon is quoted in the White House. We already quoted this one. He said, nevertheless, Nixon also admitted that it was the warm and enthusiastic reception he received after one of his talks at the Bohemian Grove encampment that proved to be a catalyst for a subsequent successful political campaign for the presidency of the U.S. President Ronald Reagan also gave credit to his personal contacts made at the Grove for his election to the White House. As I explained the wicked men of the Bohemian Grove, the centerpiece of the 2 week encampment is the cremation of care ritual ceremonies. A virtual devil fest, this pagan drama is a massive theatrical production with outstanding actors and actresses. Male actors portray the female parts in the drama. Similar to the Bacchanalias of ancient Europe, I think I said that right, in which the various gods and goddesses were worshipped, animalistic idols were venerated, sexual orgies were engaged in, and human beings sacrificed, the Bohemian ritual ranks at the top of the occultic secret society dramas. It appears that the ancient Canaanite and Hebrew deity Molech is represented at the Bohemian ritual by a 42-foot tall owl like figure. Shrouded in flames, this owl deity is surrounded by druidic priests and other characters. During the ceremony, chosen victims are sacrificed. Their screams and shrieks pierce and shatter the still night air. Mike Hansen, author of Bohemian Grove Cult of Conspiracy, knows about the wicked and terrible ritual and other unspeakable things that go on at the Grove. He and Alex Jones were the two who in 2000 bravely and clandestinely got in and actually videotaped the amazing spectacle. They risked their lives to do so. Now you can have the benefits of their exploits through Mike's astonishingly documented book. I do hope you will order this outstanding book. Okay, so these satanic abominations are being performed by some of the most powerful men on earth. They imagine that their grievous behavior is hidden from God and from you and me, but God sees all. His judgment awaits. And now, with the book Bohemian Grove Cult of Conspiracy, we too may observe the wicked sins of these arrogant and violent men. The Bohemians had the lives of billions of human beings in over 175 nations across the globe in the palm of those hands that former President Richard Nixon said are faggy and unclean. Be wary, dear friends, your very life and that of your loved ones is at stake here. Well, that seems a bit dramatic, but so the book here, They secretly meet for 17 days each July at a place called Bohemian Grove. For most of the club's long history, the public could only speculate as to what these men were doing. Discover the horror of the secret rituals and strange perversions engaged in at the Bohemian Grove. This is the first book to uncover the Grove's hidden history and expose the secrets of the Red Woods. It includes a complete list of all Bohemian Grove members and many revealing photographs. But then there's also this book here. Oh, no, this is the DVD from Alex Jones. I thought that was a book. So, yeah. And then the guy's CDs. You can get Wicked Men of the Bohemian Grove, Expose of the Bohemian Grove, Blood Sacrifice and Debauchery at the Bohemian Grove. Shocking new revelations. Um, anyway, so let's be honest. Uh, obviously, we're going to wait until we do the second part on Thursday just to see how much this actually can be proven of what goes on there. Clearly, we've seen videos, we see pictures, we see something is happening, something is off. It's very creepy, it's very weird. Um, so yeah, it bothers me. I this is why I say you can't trust people. You can't trust our leaders because you just don't know what kind of people they are. And psychopaths, sociopaths, they're narcissists, they're very good at hiding who they really are and putting on a show. So I'm always leery. I don't think that all people in our government, local or federal, are part of these groups, are crazy like that. I think we have some very decent Christian people in leadership positions that just everything is against them. They can't go anywhere. That's why the people have to start doing something. So, very creepy indeed. But definitely, we're going to look further into this on Thursday. And then I found a bunch of pictures that I will share as well on Thursday. A lot of pictures we'll go through. Anyway, and I will put a link to, because it's history and photos of the Bohemian Grove. I'll put the link to that in my description box if you want to go check them out in advance. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you had a good time learning about the Bohemian Grove. This was kind of just learn what it is, who is a part of it, a little bit of what they do there. But Thursday, I'm telling you, it's going to be a much deeper dive. I think it's going to be much darker of what these people are like. I think they are nuts. Anyway, please join me on my Facebook, Lauren Collins. I just got to say something. Email me, gotta say something 21 at gmail.com. You can join my subreddit r/slash just gotta say something. Also, if you're a blind viewer, you can find me on Anchor, Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast. Please subscribe to it and leave me a review. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to share this video and like it. Leave me a comment so I can get back to you. And please, please subscribe to the channel and help me build my channel. It would mean so, so, so much to me. And then click the notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video. Also, I am selling t-shirts. Um, if you want to check that out, I leave a link to that in the description box. And also, I'm trying to think how I can leave a link on for my blind viewers in the description box of the episode. I will also leave the link to purchase a t-shirt if you would like to buy one. It will help me immensely with the podcast. It really will. And also, please don't forget to click the link that I'm putting in the description for the petition to help protect women in prisons from being housed with men. It's very important to me. And I've gotten 17 signatures. It's not as many as I'd like, but I need more people to sign it and help me share it around. So that would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day and I hope to see you back here on Wednesday. God bless.